All right, welcome to another video, except this one is quite a bit different. It's about my personal story. A lot of you folks had asked me just about that, what my life was about. Um, so I'm going to try to cover that. I'm 60 years old, so to cover that amount of time, it's going to take more than a 10 or 15-minute video would allow. I was born at a very young age. Um, Heard somebody say that once. I'm not going way back there, of course. This will be in two parts. There won't be any garage construction in this video. It'll be my personal life, and then it'll be on how I started, how I got into building garages, and what led up to that. So the first part, um, back in 1977, I'll start there. I was in church, and there was this beautiful young lady that came in, and I got to know her, and within a year, 1978, in October, we were married. My wife, Sandy, been married for 43 years, I believe, this year. And we have 5 kids. The first one is our oldest, has gone on to be, he's a computer programmer at this point. He has been for 10 or 15 years. Married a beautiful young lady, Melissa. She is a sweetheart. Um, they have 5 kids: Lexi, Elsie, Peyton, Paisley, and Liam. I think that's all of them. I better get them all. Lexi, Elsie, Liam, or Peyton, Liam, and Paisley. Yeah. He works out of his home for a company. My next oldest is Chad. He works with me. He got a degree in digital media and business, so he's pretty sharp. He married another beautiful young lady. Both I'm so blessed to get 2 such beautiful daughters-in-law. They're just both so nice. It's like the boys would have to go if it didn't work out. The girls got to stay. So Chad and Olivia have 3 kids. Ella is the oldest, Elena, and then Emmett. They're all pretty young kids. I think the oldest is 5 or 6. They're just a joy to have around. So then next in line was Kristen. She, Kristen is kind of the reason I'm doing this. Yesterday she would have been 35. When she was 16 years old, every year growing up, I used to sing this song to her. I think it was by the Beatles. You come out of a dream, peaches and cream. You're 16, you're beautiful, and you're mine. And every year for at least 10 years leading up to age 16, I would sing that to her. And then I told her after I sang it, I wasn't going to sing that song to her anymore because I didn't want to embarrass her in front of her friends. So I didn't. So yesterday she would have been 35. So it's been 19 years, I think, since we actually lost her. It was a wow. It's been 19 years. It shouldn't bother me. So a couple weeks after her birthday, something came up. Something was wrong, and so we ended up were able to get her into the hospital, and we found that she had a cancer. She had a fast-moving cancer, rhabdomyosarcoma. It was less than a month from the time we found out that she had it that we buried her. While she was in the hospital, there were so many procedures they had to do. They had given her 1 dose of cancer treatment, and it swelled up her throat to the point where she couldn't hardly even breathe. And so another emergency rush to the operating room, and I went with her. She was on the gurney, And she couldn't, prior to that, she couldn't talk. And before they took her into the emergency room, I was standing beside her. She said, "I'm ready to see Jesus." I told her I wasn't ready for her to go. As it turns out, those were the last words she said. She just had a smile. She was ready. Why is this so hard? This is so hard, I guess, because it's personal. It gets better. uh, she had such a peace before going in there, and that she could talk. It just blew me away. Um, so I know she's in a better place now. So in between that, we had another son born, Matthew. He was stillborn. He had gone full term, but he had so many things wrong in his body that he just didn't make it. So this was before Kristen had died that we had him. I was holding him and just thinking, you know, God has looked out for you. You didn't have to go through all of this stuff on this earth. He's just got it made now. I mean, he's at peace in heaven. So that's the sad stuff. So, I'm sorry to go on. It's really hard to talk about. If any of you folks out there have like stories, I'd really love to hear them. If you wanted to send me back a couple paragraphs, it's kind of hard to put in a couple of paragraphs something that's losing a loved one. I know that's hard. And I know that a lot of you folks have experienced the same thing. Then Lauren was born in 2000. What a blessing. She's got the nicest disposition you could ever ask for. She's just very unselfish. She goes out of her way to care for other people. She's just like that. Hey, so I gotta make an adjustment. I said at the very beginning that I was 60 years old. I don't think so. 68. So I did want to just say that Kristen's same hope in being in heaven is my same hope, and it's what really gives me my personality as far as positive joyfulness. I mean, I'm just excited that if I sitting here, if I just keel over and die, I'm fine with it. I think my family would miss me. I hope. But what's on the other side is the hope. It's where my faith is, and I'm so excited that I have that. So anyway, moving on to part 2. How did I get into doing garages? Back in the 80s, the late 80s, I actually had started a modular home company. I had about 25 employees, and we were building 4 houses a month. It was just so packed. There was no room to think. It was just go, 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 go for me. But in 1989, the economy died. Couldn't give a house away, and so we closed the doors. But I like the concept of modular building or panelizing. It's so efficient because you can be in a controlled environment. If it's raining or snowing or thundering or whatever it might be, you can always work. And so we capitalize on that. If it's a rainy day, we'll be in the shop doing things that are producing so that we don't have down days very often, not working. So that works really, really good. We stock our materials. You've seen that the shop is kind of full right now. We're getting that cleared out, but when it's empty, it's really nice to build walls in there. Occasionally build a truss. We don't very often do that. We only do it if we can't get them. So that doesn't happen very often. But we'll build all the other components: window openings, door openings, rakes. We'll build those ahead. So we have all the wood cutoffs in the shop. They stay there, and we'll use them if we need a shorter piece of wood. We try to keep them organized so that we can use that, and not. We don't throw away. Hardly anything is wasted. We might save it. We have a fireplace, a fire pit over here that we'll have fires in occasionally. So that works really well. So back in 1990, after basically losing the business, the modular home business, I had to start over. We started over with, for me, it was if I went into the lumber yard or the hardware store and needed a hammer, it was actually a decision I had to really think about, because we just did not have the money at that point. So I put an ad in the paper. Somebody loaned me the money, a good friend of mine, to run an insert in the newspaper. It was back in 1990. It cost around $1,000, which at that time was a huge investment. So I made like a coupon ad, and I put, like, for a 12 by 16 deck, it was $1,100 to wallpaper a room. I used to do a little wallpapering, not anymore. It was X number of dollars to paint a room, to do different things, to do a roof on a certain size house, or build a garage. And so in that first year, that the garage part, the clip out part, a 24 by 24 ranch with concrete, and we used to do the electrical back then. We'd tie into their panel, we'd put in a floodlight, 4 lights inside, outlets, for $4,900. We sold 6 that year, that first year. And it was, I kept thinking, wow, I should be making some pretty good money here, but I didn't seem like I had a lot of money left over at the end of the year. And so I really analyzed it, and I looked into what was I missing. And well, what I was missing was the GS&A, General Selling and Administrative. So I didn't have advertising costs in there, gas for the truck, the tools, everything that you had to buy, that you had to replace, saw blades, on and on. You know, I went through that past year's experience, and I divided it into 300, I think I allowed 50 weeks of work. So I divided it into 50 weeks, and I came up with a number, and I started adding that in. And so I would keep track of hours worked, and for every 8 hours that I worked, it would be a day of overhead attached to that. And that worked really well. Finally, I was able to get a good handle on my costs the second year, and found that I think it went up to $5,900 the second year. And each year, well, there's been years, I might go 2 or 3 years without raising prices. And then finally I would raise them just because I could see that there was a need for that. And then, of course, the past couple of years with this COVID thing, it's really messed up. It's really whacked out the prices. So that $4,900 garage in 1990 is now $24,000. So it's almost $20,000 more. It should be going down. I'm really hoping it should. But I love the concept of modular or panelized. It's just so efficient. So we have a small crew. They're on a payroll. We pay workers' comp. Having everything, they're covered. So if they get hurt, they're covered. What else would be of interest? Advertising. So this past year, that's one cost that has gone down. I didn't pay a dime for advertising this year. Word of mouth and YouTube has pretty much booked me. If I could have a 20-man crew, 20-person crew. You know, it's speaking of persons versus man. I've hired in 35 years, I think about 4 or 5 women. The rest, it's been easily over 100 men that I've hired, boys, kids in high school for the summer or whatever. Uh, I typically don't get requests from women to work. Um, I have no, I have no problem hiring them. They're usually good workers. The ones that I had were. Um, we had this elderly woman that worked for us when we did modular homes, and she was. She'd come to work. She did all the staining. She'd go into her. We had a booth set up that was air ventilated and everything. She'd go in the morning. You wouldn't see her till she went home in the late afternoon. All the guys would go in there and take their breaks with her because she was just an enjoyable person. Rambling there, sorry. Anyway, what we're finding is we're in northeastern Vermont. People moving up from out of state buy a house and there's no garage with it, so they find me online or through YouTube, which has been great. I really appreciate that, and we build them a garage. So what I was going to say is, if I had 20 people, I could keep them all busy. There's just so much demand that you folks have sent my way. I really appreciate that. So that's kind of the two-part story. Sorry I got so emotional at the beginning. It's real, and I know that you folks have gone through hard times like that. Please leave a comment. Please hit the like button. And if you're not a subscriber, I would appreciate it if you'd subscribe. All right. Thanks again. We'll see you.